Dum diddy dum 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 diddy dum 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 diddy dum 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 diddy dum 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 dum. Mm. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, whoever, wherever, whenever you are, wherever you're here, however you got here, whatever you're doing. Thank you for showing up. I'm Denise Matteau, and yeah, we're going to continue my rant, criticism, warnings, whatever, against certain individuals inside the TLC or Estuary movement, particularly Mark D. Parker. Now, Mark D. Parker, I've got several videos saying just how evil I believe the man is. I don't think he would be anybody worth looking at for 2 seconds, except that he is getting a lot of promotion and support from an organization which appears to be a two-sided organization. On the one hand, it's a perfectly fine-looking discussion community, mainly upholding Christian or Christian-adjacent cultural values. Definitely something we need in today's world. On the other hand, there's a cluster inside the leadership of the TLC Estuary organization that is highly deceptive, that I believe is running a radicalization cult within the group in which they are funneling people. And the main driver in this is this guy, Mark D. Parker. I think my title for this video is going to be something about is when ignorance is criminal. I mean, can ignorance rise to the level of a crime? Mark D. Parker, who's trying to recruit Christians away from a moderate, somewhat nonviolent, I would say outright nonviolent attitude. Men who are trying to find a balance between, I guess, what some people would call patriarchal energy and civilization, and all, men who are just trying to be men and trying to support each other in their efforts to raise families in the Christian tradition. And this is difficult because we're in a real religious warfare going on. And I have said about Mark D. Parker that he's not Christian at all. He's the enemy. He is, I believe, he's actually a Satanist. Now, that's not the part about ignorance. The ignorance is coming in right now. I just was listening to his latest, and he's in California. He is politically motivated enough to be trying to recruit people to street politics and Tifa-style street politics. He tried to revive George Floyd as a topic. Now he's trying to use very graphic and emotionally manipulative stories of lynch mobs, all about white guilt. He's white. He's white. He's sheltered. He never accepted my challenge. And if you really want to speak for the Black community, why don't you start by taking your little cell phone camera, walk right into the Black community, and start asking them about some of the things you're talking about in your videos. Get their opinion of what they think of what white boys leading Antifa marches have done to their communities. Talk to some Black parents of kids who got pulled into shoplifting campaigns and are now facing some kind of police record as a result. Why don't you go into the black community and talk to them? Talk to the black man who can't get a job as a CDL truck driver because California, your state, Mark D. Parker, has actually been handing nameless, anonymous commercial driver's licenses to illegals who can't speak English, while the black man that you think is so oppressed, and indeed he is, and you want to know who's oppressing him, go look in a mirror, Mark D. Parker, because that honest American black man can't get a CDL because 5 years ago he got convicted of a drunk driving violation of some kind. But a tattooed MS-13 thug who doesn't even speak English gets handed a CDL without even having to pass a driver's test. And he's behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler hauling goods across the country. And you want to encourage decent white Christians that you can sink your satanic claws into to come to the defense of that illegal immigrant behind the wheel against your American black neighbor who's unemployed and has to hope his kids will get a good public defender after they're arrested for following another one of you white boys into some kind of protest march that ends up in a looting campaign. But that's not what I came on. That's the ignorance here is really, it sickened me. I mean, I had to turn away from the screen because it literally sickened me. This man, Mark D. Parker, is talking to a lot of young men who have kids and are trying to find ways to maintain a decent Christian culture for their families. Mark D. Parker lives in California and is a political activist in California. And somebody came up on his stream saying something about the problem that kids can now be legally kidnapped and submitted to sex change surgeries against their parents' wishes. And before the guy could get any further into why he wanted to talk about this, Mark D. Parker, California political activist Mark D. Parker, says, "What are you talking about?" Hold on a second. I'm going to pause this so I can get the number of what he's talking about. It's a number, it's a California law that was passed, that is now the law.